When we're talking about doing things for others, when George, and I'm sure the club will not mind me recalling this story.
So we're joined today by a very special guest, somebody who's got a very close relationship with Sheffield United and who's been around quite a long time. In fact, 45 years. I'm talking about the legend that is Gary Sinclair, who many people will certainly have heard, if not seen, because Gary, you've been stadium announcer for all that time, is that right?
Now, stadium announcer on the pitch, 31 years.
Right. So that's a
club
start,
DJ,
wasn't it?
45 years. Yeah, it's a start. It's a long time.
A long time. I think we can agree on that. So tell us how you first got involved, Gary, and why you've been doing that for such a long time.
First involved with Sheffield United, my Uncle Bob used to be the postman for Sheffield United, and when they built the Bramall Lane stand, he got complimentary tickets, and so he introduced me to Bramall Lane, and I was just engrossed. The view to this day from Bramall Lane is still to me the best part of the ground. It is just magnificent, but that's probably from that outset memory. I just grew up a Sheffield United fan. I started a DJ career as a mobile DJ in 1975, so it's my 50 years. You know, if somebody had said 50 years on, you're still playing Barry White, I'd have looked at him and gone. No.
I mean, you must have made so many friends, you must have got to know so many people, but for thousands, literally tens of thousands, we are talking about you are the voice of Sheffield United. Has anybody ever recognised you from your voice alone? I'm suspecting that they have.
It is an honour I am well aware of. I mean, Chris Wilder says he's got the best job in the world. Yes, I've got the best job. I've got the job that every fan would want. And to this day, when I refer to Tony Curry and Ted Emsley, dear pals down here, and I'll mention Badge while we're at it, because God bless you, Badge. Those three, I used to hero worship. I stood on the cop. You know, I'm 10-year-old and I've got arms ablaze with a scruffy scarf, trying to stand on the bit halfway up so I can get an extra height, because I've never been tall. All these years later, 60 years later, you think, I can't believe I'm in the company, and they're now some of my closest friends. It's given me friendships and relationships that have lasted a lifetime. Yeah. And the most common question I get asked is the referees, are you still here? and they just look at me, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's coming across to me loud and clear is the affection for the club.
I love the club. To have such a part of your life, you've got to have I'm like every supporter. You know, supporters have a lifetime of devotion to this club. I'm no different. I'm just the fan with the mic. It's an incredible honour.
Who's the most impressive to you?
Player, Tony Curry.
Because?
He was the excitement. You knew you were watching somebody special. And in that era of Rodney Marsh, and there were flamboyant players that entertain us. So TC, best United player, best footballer I've ever seen, George Best, just different gravy.
And with Tony Curry, somebody who kind of, ahead of the time, ahead of the trends, was very open about his mental health challenges. We're talking about Talk Club today, which both Bristol City and Sheffield United are involved in, and the two clubs are coming together on the 11th of March. This is a peer-to-peer support group for men. Let me ask you, Gary, what have you sort of felt over the years with Sheffield United? Because it strikes me as being a club that, again, has been sort of pioneering work on the mental health, not just of its players, its staff, but of its fans as well.
I think the club deserve more credit than they get for being pioneers in so many aspects with all the diversity that we have now. and all the needs of special groups. Sheffield United and John Helliwell and all the team are doing magnificent strides, whether it's the sensory room. You know, we've got facilities that 15 years ago were unheard of because people assumed they didn't need them. But suddenly this huge awareness campaign of everything and everybody's various needs, and the Talk Club is just one aspect that needs to be applauded. It needs to be welcomed, embraced, and put forward out there, because, you know, you say, I come across, I'm happy. Every person in their life will at some stage feel down. Nobody can be Mr. Happy all the time. And we all have our down. I have my down moments. I have my concerns and worries. I'm like everybody else, just a normal guy. But knowing that now there are places you can go to, there are people you can communicate with, there are avenues you can check.
The first question that we ask at Talk Club is, how are you out of 10 and why? So let me ask you that question. How are you out of 10 and why?
At the moment, I'm going through my own issues with a knee operation I've had. I've had a complete knee replacement. And again, that has highlighted my need for friendship, for communication. I totally misread how much help I would need, because I do live on my own in the wilderness. So yes, I realised in that operation and my post-care, I was calling out to people. And I have one really close friend, Barry, who's visited me every single day. And the importance of that, popping in, are you all right, Gary? Is there anything I can do? You know, I've brought you some coffee boxes around. Oh, you're a gem, Baz. Thank you. And we just sit, like now, and we man talk, and we'll talk about anything. It's that person being there when you most need somebody that you think, cheers, Baz. And as he's gone, I thought, oh, I love that guy. You know, thanks, Baz. And I'm grateful.
You were saying earlier about how powerful a microphone is and how people do relate to you, even if you're just a distant voice.
One of the hardest things I've had to do this year, the hardest thing, was announce the passing of George Baldock, which had such a devastating effect on this club from every level. It hit everybody like a ton of bricks. But I knew sooner or later was going to come the time where I have to make an announcement or read a short eulogy in his honour. And you're thinking, how do you prepare for that? Because it's 30,000 people who are relying on you to deliver a message. And we said to the family, and I said to them beforehand, I said, I'll do my best to do you proud. And I can remember I said, I need to see this script, I need to sort of pre-read it. And I'm looking at it, and the first time I read it, I thought, how am I going to cope here? But you get the strength and you just get that microphone. And I said, this is my job. But what does come across is the emotion that we all love George, and everything they embodied about the club, the ethos of Chris, what he's trying to do, the players he wants to play for the club. Everything was wrapped up in that man and his feelings, and what a nice guy he was. He wasn't just a footballer, he was a human being, he was a funny guy and such a kind guy. And when we're talking about doing things for others, when George, and I'm sure the club will not mind me recalling this story, George is walking around the children's hospital as they do at Christmas time, and they're going round, they got to this young girl. I'm George. I'm sorry, sir, I follow Tottenham. What do you mean you follow Tottenham? I'm not. Oh, who's your favourite player? Dele Alli. Hang on a minute. Dele, I've got a girl who doesn't like me as much as you. And put the phone on, and she was FaceTiming Dele Alli. Wow. And I thought, you know what? Bingo.
That's an incredible story.
It is. summed him up, but it was more important that we as a club could be seen, look, there's nothing wrong with grieving, there's nothing wrong with crying, there's nothing wrong with feeling sad, because that's emotions.
You and I think it's fair to say, we could describe as old-timers, but we've both seen a sea change in attitudes towards mental health since we were younger. What do you think about that change, Gary? And you know, what would you say are the benefits of people opening up? Men in particular, 3/4 of the people who take their lives are men. You know, what would you say to that?
It is a sad statistic, but again, we are old school, so we have lived through generational changes. I did my apprenticeship at Laycock Engineering, so I was a man with overalls, working on a lathe, break time, everybody sat down, the butty trolley came around, and men talk in them days were where they'd been, what pub they'd been in, how many pints they'd drunk, old young lads, yeah, have they pulled that weekend? That was the man talk. But the need now has become greater because there are so many more things, I think, that people are getting more worried about, and they're taking it on personally. They're worried about the state of the world, the state of the economy. Sometimes that just was put in a box and you lived your life outside that box. You didn't dive in and start thinking, well, if I was Prime Minister, I'd be doing... And you get normal people now who want to be Prime Minister for a day and they can sort everybody's problems out. Just dive in that box. I've got the answers. What it has done is it's engaged conversation where people want to hear other opinions, and there are other opinions on everything, and it is that opportunity to just have your say. Never feel alone, never feel that you can't say anything. Nothing's off bounds, no subject's unapproachable, and just embrace it, and if you need to talk, talk.
That's a good point, and you just used the phrase, great to talk. It's been great to talk to you, Gary.
My honour, mate.
I've learned a lot, and I suspect that we could go on talking like this for hours.
They'd run out of film. They really would.
Thank you. Thank you for
it's
that.
been my honour.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of interesting, important issues there that Gary has covered, and it'd be great to come back one day, Gary, and do a longer version possibly. But from us here at Bramall Lane, that's it for now.